The morning was quiet. I only wanted to check something. I wanted to see a shipping message on my husband's laptop. The browser opened at once. I did not even type a letter. An email thread jumped onto the screen by itself, like a door opening without a knock. The subject line stared at me in bold, hard letters. Divorce strategy. My breath caught. My hands felt cold. I told myself, maybe this is not about me. Maybe this is work. Maybe this is junk. But then I saw my name in the preview line, black and clear. And one sentence burned like fire. She'll never see it coming. My heart began to pound so loud I could hear it in my ears. I clicked with a shaking finger. The thread opened, long and wide. There were many emails, one after another. Each one was from James and a lawyer I did not know. They had been writing for weeks. They had been planning behind my back. He wanted to file first. He wanted to hide money. He wanted to twist the story so I looked weak. He wanted to lock me out of our accounts before I could react. There it was in simple words. There it was, and I could not look away. I could not move. This was my husband. This was the man who held my hand in church. This was the man who kissed my forehead this very morning. Last night we laughed at a silly TV show. Now I was reading his secret plan. I never saw it coming. A small voice inside wanted to cry. Another wanted to shout. But a deeper voice said, "Be still. Breathe. Think. Do not show fear. Do not show tears. Be calm like the sea at dawn." So, I did the smartest thing I could. I took screenshots of every email. I did not skip one. Click. Save. Click. Save. I numbered them. I wrote dates. I made short notes. My hands were careful, like a doctor with a tiny needle. Then I opened a private email I used only in emergencies. I sent the screenshots there. I checked they had arrived. I checked again. Then I closed the browser and wiped the screen with a cloth, as if I had only cleaned dust. The kitchen was quiet again. The tea was cold. I put the laptop back the way I found it. I washed the cup. I told my face to be normal. My heart was loud, but my steps were steady. That evening, when James came home, he smiled the same smile. He set down his bag. He kissed my cheek. "How was your day?" he asked. His voice was smooth, like butter on warm bread. He thought I was soft. He thought I was slow. He thought I would never suspect anything. I smiled back. "It was fine," I said. "Are you hungry?" I made his favorite dinner, jollof rice with chicken and sweet fried plantain. I set the table just the way he liked it. I listened to him talk about small office stories. I laughed at the right parts. I asked little questions. My hands did not shake. My eyes did not cry. My voice did not break. I was a quiet river, smooth on top, deep and strong below. After dinner, we watched a show. I leaned on his shoulder. He breathed slow and calm. He thought he was in control. He thought I would fall apart later. He thought he was the hunter and I was a slow deer. He did not know me at all. We went to bed. He fell asleep first. Soon he was snoring, heavy and loud. I lay in the dark and watched the ceiling. The room was full of soft shadows. I did not feel scared. I felt awake. I felt sharp. I slid out of bed. I opened my laptop. The screen lit the room with a gentle glow. I created a new folder. I named it with one clean word, freedom. I whispered the name like a promise. Inside that folder I placed every screenshot, every note, every tiny line I might need. I saved phone numbers. I saved dates. I saved the lawyer's name. I saved his plan to cut me off. The folder looked simple, but it held my safety. I told myself clear rules. I would not cry. I would not beg. I would not lose. I would win quietly. I would win slowly. I would win on my own terms. There was one more truth people did not know. Long before I met him, I had built something big. I started a company with 2 hands and a brave heart. I worked late when the city slept. I took risks when the sun was still hiding. I learned numbers. I learned contracts. I learned to lead a team and pay them well. Year by year, the company grew, like a seed that becomes a tall tree. I kept my head down. I let other people take the stage. I did not need applause. I wanted freedom. I never bragged. I never showed off. Most people thought I was quiet and small. But my company was strong and safe. It was worth more money than James could dream of. It was mine, and it was in my name. When we married, I let him handle small things, like paying bills or talking to the bank. We opened a few joint accounts for the house. We bought 2 properties together and put both our names on the papers. We shared some simple investments. But the big things stayed with me. The roots of my tree were deep. The next morning, I tied my scarf and made breakfast. James sat at the table, scrolling on his phone. He smiled at me, the same easy smile, like the night before. He thought I was blind. He thought his secret was safe. He didn't know I had read every word. I placed the food on the table, poured him tea, and said, "Eat before it gets cold." My voice was calm, steady. My hands didn't shake. He looked at me, searching my face, but I gave him nothing. I was a wall of quiet. Inside me, though, a storm was awake. My heart was no longer soft. It was sharp. Every sound he made, every word he spoke, I studied. He thought I was the same wife. But I was not. Something inside me had changed forever. Later that day, when he left for work, I made my first moves. But not in the house. I didn't trust the walls anymore. I didn't trust the air. If he could plan against me, then maybe he had ways of watching too. So, I took my phone and my bag and stepped out into the city. I walked to a small cafe with glass windows and quiet corners. I ordered water and sat in the back, where nobody would notice me. There, I pulled out my phone and called my accountant. "Hello," I said softly. "We need to review everything." Quietly. He didn't ask why. He just said, "Come to the office after hours." No records. No names. I hung up. Then I called my lawyer. She had always been a strong woman, quick and sharp. "I need you," I told her. "And we must keep it silent." Her voice was steady. "Say no more. Come tomorrow." Finally, I sent a short message to an old friend. He was an expert in protecting money. Years ago, he had taught me how to hide my roots deep in the ground. "It's time," I texted. Just that. He understood. Within minutes he replied, "Meet me tonight. Same place." That evening, when James came home, I was ready with another smile. I made him pepper soup, just the way he liked it. He told me about work, about his boss, about the traffic. I nodded, laughed at the right times, and even poured him an extra drink. He relaxed. He thought I was still soft. He thought I was still blind. He didn't see the notebook I had hidden in the drawer. A notebook where I wrote down every account number, every property deed, every stock certificate. He didn't see the quiet fire growing in my eyes. I kissed him goodnight again. He closed his eyes, sure of his plan. He was the hunter. I was the prey. At least, that was what he believed. That night, lying beside him, I thought back to the early days. To the years when I built my company from nothing. I remember the nights I worked until dawn, eating cold bread and drinking bitter coffee. I remember the deals that almost broke me, the risks that almost drowned me, and the courage I held onto when everyone told me to give up. I remembered standing alone in an empty office, whispering to myself, I will not fail. I will rise. And I did. Step by step, brick by brick, dollar by dollar. My empire grew. I kept it quiet, hidden, like gold under sand. Nobody clapped for me. Nobody saw. But it was mine. And it was strong. James never knew that side of me. He thought I was just gentle, just simple. He thought I needed him. He thought wrong. The following week, my moves grew sharper. My accountant showed me every joint account. Together, we circled what was his and what was mine. We found his small tricks, his quiet withdrawals. I wrote them down. My lawyer began to prepare quiet papers that would protect me when the time came. We won't move yet, she said. We'll let him think he is ahead. The longer he thinks that, the more careless he becomes. My old friend, the expert, helped me move pieces of my empire into new places. Places James could never touch. Places James could never even imagine. Every night, I came home with a smile. I cooked. I listened. I laughed at his small jokes. I looked into his eyes and gave him peace. But beneath the smile, I was building a cage. Not for me. For him. One night, as he sat on the couch, I saw him typing quickly on his phone. His face was tight, serious. When he noticed me, he hid it and smiled. Just walk, he said. But I knew. I knew his game was moving closer. His emails must be heating up. His lawyer must be pushing him to strike soon. My chest felt tight, but I did not let it show. I walked to the kitchen, washed my hands slowly, and whispered to myself, be still. Be patient. The trap is not ready yet. When I returned, I sat beside him and rested my head on his shoulder. He smiled, thinking he was safe. He thought his plan was almost done. He thought he was days away from victory. But he was only walking deeper into the net I had spread for him. That night, I went to my folder again, freedom. I added new notes. I added the small lies he had told that week. I added the time he came home late, smelling of whiskey, his shirt wrinkled. I added the call he tried to hide in the bathroom. Every detail mattered. Every piece was part of the puzzle. As I closed the laptop, I looked at his sleeping face. His mouth hung open, his breath heavy. He thought he was the lion. He thought I was the lamb. But I was neither. I was the storm he never saw coming. Morning came with a sky the color of soft milk. The house was quiet. I made tea and watched the steam rise. I could feel it in the air, the day was close. The day James would make his move. My hands were steady. My heart was ready. I dressed simply. A plain dress. Flat shoes. Hair tied back. I looked like a gentle wife making breakfast. But inside, I wore armor no one could see. James walked in with a bright face. He kissed my cheek and said, "Big day. I might be home late." He smiled wide, but his eyes were small and hard. "Okay," I said, sweet and calm. "I'll keep dinner warm." He left whistling. The door closed like a soft clap. I took my bag and my freedom folder. I whispered, "Now." By noon, my phone buzzed. A burst of messages. My banking app showed a lock on one joint account. Then another. Then the credit cards failed. James was doing it, just like the email said. He was cutting me off, trying to make me panic, trying to make me run to him for help. I did not panic. I called my lawyer. "He started," I said simply. "Good," she answered. So do we. I opened a secure file and pressed send. All the screenshots. All the notes. A neat line of truth. My lawyer already had copies, but today she needed them fresh. Today the puzzle became a picture. I checked my watch. Time to go, I told myself. We met in a conference room with glass walls and a long quiet table. Sunlight poured in and made everything feel clean. My lawyer sat on one side. Calm. Neat. Sharp. On the other side sat James, his lawyer, and a small smile that tried to hide a large grin. James's suit was perfect. His tie was bright. He looked like a winner taking his prize. I walked in with small steps and a soft face. I carried nothing but my folder and a bottle of water. I sat down and folded my hands. James's lawyer started first. He had a smooth voice. "We're here to move this along quickly," he said. "James is prepared to file. He has concerns about your stability. He will take financial control to ensure order. We expect your cooperation." He spoke like a teacher telling a child what to do. He expected me to nod and say yes. He expected me to break. I did not break. I turned to my lawyer. She gave a tiny nod. It was my turn. I opened the Freedom folder and took out the first page. A screenshot with a date, a time, a subject line, divorce strategy. I slid it across the table. The paper made a soft hiss against the wood. "This is from James to you," I said. "You wrote, she'll never see it coming." Silence sat with us like a fourth guest. I placed another page on top of the first. "Here, you discuss hiding assets." Another page. "Here, you talk about locking me out before I can react." Another page. "Here, you say you'll twist the story. That you call me unstable." James blinked. His smile cracked just a little, like thin ice in the sun. His lawyer tried to speak, but the words stripped. This looks taken out of context." I slid the printed email chain, full and complete. "Here is the context." I did not raise my voice. I did not look angry. I let the paper speak. My lawyer took over, gentle and firm. "We are not here to fight," she said. "We are here to be fair. My client will not be painted as unstable. She has records of calm, careful work. She has proof of income, taxes, and ownership. The joint accounts reflect shared life, yes. But the core of her wealth predates this marriage and is protected by clean records." She handed over a thin packet. "Contracts. Dates. Deposits. A life built brick by brick." James tried to laugh. "What wealth?" he asked, trying to sound casual. "She barely." I lifted my eyes to him. "James," I said softly, "you do not know me. You saw the leaves and thought there was no tree. You never looked at the roots." His face changed. For the first time, he seemed unsure. My old friend, the asset protector, had prepared a simple list for today. Not the numbers. Not the big words. Just the places where the roots of my tree lived. Safe places. Legal places. Places built long before James. I placed the list on the table. "These are mine," I said. "These were mine before you. They remain mine." My lawyer added, "And we have proof that some of your clients' recent withdrawals touch joint accounts in ways that do not reflect fair use. We will not accuse today. We will only note. But if this goes to court, we will show everything. Every date. Every line." James's lawyer looked at the pages like they were stones in his hands. James shifted in his chair. He looked at me, really looked, as if seeing a stranger. The set of his jaw softened. For a moment, I saw the man I married, charming, warm, then the mask slid back on. "This is a play," he said. "You're pretending to be calm, But you're scared. I was, I said. Not anymore. My lawyer made a small, clean offer. We propose a fair split of the joint items, she said. 2 properties, we keep the one she maintained, he keeps the one he prefers. Joint accounts, we freeze and audit, then divide per contribution and need. Vehicles as used. No access to her separate assets. No false claims against her mind or name. She looked at James's lawyer. If you agree, we sign today. If you attack her reputation, we file with all this evidence. If you threaten, we add every message to the record. She tapped a stack of screenshots with one finger. It was a gentle tap. It sounded like a clock. Tick. James's lawyer swallowed. We need a moment. They stepped outside to whisper in the hallway. Through the glass, I could see hands moving, heads close, worry growing. The sun on the glass made their faces look pale. I took a sip of water. My hands were still steady. They came back. James's lawyer tried one last time to bite softly. Our client wants assurances. He would like access to. No, my lawyer said. He does not get access to what he tried to steal. James leaned forward. You're not the woman I thought you were. That is true, I said. You never looked. He stared at me. There was heat in his eyes, but also something like fear. He turned to his lawyer, then back to me. Fine, he said at last. The word fell heavy. We signed the papers. The pen felt light in my fingers. My name flowed in ink like a quiet river. When it was done, I stood up and closed my folder. Thank you, I said to the room. James cleared his throat. So that's it. For you, I said softly. For me, this is a beginning. He blinked. A beginning to what? To peace, I said. To who I really am. He looked at the table. He looked at the door. He looked like a man who had walked into his own trap and only just realized it. I turned to go, then paused. James, I added, next time you want to win, try honesty. It is lighter to carry. I left. The hallway smelled like lemon polish. The floor was shiny, and my steps were soft. Outside, the sky had changed. The milk-white morning had become a bright blue afternoon. I felt the sun on my face. The city sounded alive, horns, voices, soft wind through trees. I breathed in and let my shoulders drop. I thought of the girl I used to be, the one who walked late nights and whispered, I will not fail. I thought of the woman I became, the one who built an empire in silence. I thought of the wife I had tried to be, gentle, patient, kind. All of them were me. I walked to a small park. Children were playing tag. A mother laughed and clapped. A boy tripped, then stood up with a grin. The world kept going. The world was good. My phone buzzed. A message from my lawyer, signed and filed. You're safe. Another from my accountant, audit requested. Clear trail. One more from my old friend, root strong. Branches free. I smiled. I sat on a bench and looked up at the sky. Freedom did not always sound like loud music or big cheers. Sometimes, freedom was the soft click of a folder closing. Sometimes, it was the quiet turn of a key. Sometimes, it was a woman walking away without raising her voice. I took out my notebook and wrote one line. I was never just a wife. I was the storm. And I chose calm. A small girl passed by holding a red balloon. She waved at me. I waved back. The balloon floated, bright and brave, against the blue. That night, I slept with the window open. The air was cool and sweet. I did not dream of fear. I did not dream of running. I dreamed of planting new trees. I dreamed of light on water. I dreamed of laughter that did not hide pain. In the morning, I made tea and opened my laptop. I clicked on the Freedom folder, then closed it again. I did not need it now, but I kept it like a lighthouse there if storms returned. I sent a note to my team: new project. New season. We grow. I sent a note to myself: be gentle. Be strong. Be free. And then I stepped into the day. The door closed behind me, not like an ending, but like the soft start of a song. Here's the moral lesson of the story, written in simple words but still deep and powerful. Moral lesson. 1. Never underestimate a quiet person. The world may see them as weak, but inside they may hold the greatest strength. 2. Calm is stronger than anger. When betrayal comes, shouting or breaking down does not win. Planning, patience, and wisdom do. 3. Protect yourself before trusting blindly. Love is good, but wisdom is better. Keep your roots strong, so no storm can pull you down. 4. Evil plans always fail when built on lies. James thought trickery would give him power, but truth and fairness always rise in the end. 5. Freedom is not in revenge, but in peace. She did not fight with noise. She won with calm, proof, and dignity. That is real victory. In short, the story teaches us that strength does not always shout. Sometimes, it whispers, waits, and then rises like a storm no one expected. If this story touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with friends, spread the lesson, and let more people learn that true love is greater than gold. For more unforgettable folktales, remember to like, share, and subscribe to AB Folktale Stories, where wisdom lives forever.